The African National Congress in KwaZulu-Natal says it wants Dr. Zweli Mkhize and not Cyril Ramaphosa to lead the party. The province also backs Paul Mashatile for the position of ANC Deputy President and Stanley Mathabatha as ANC National chairperson. The African National Congress also gearing up for what is likely to be a bruising 55th National Elective Conference in December. Let's take a listen.
The branches of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal are proposing that in the position of a president, they support Dr. Zweli Mkhize. In the position of deputy president, they support Comrade Paul Mashatile. In the position of a national chairperson, they think Comrade Stanley Mathabatha, who has been a chairperson of the Topo province for the longest time, can do better now at national level with that experience he had accumulated over the years. They also believe that Comrade Vuyo Mkhize from the province of the Eastern Cape, who has served in various capacities, both as a chairperson of the Eastern Cape and also as a Treasurer General of the South African Communist Party over the years, can now occupy that position, who is also a member of the National Executive Committee. They also believe that Comrade Newzroom, whom we all know, Mama Action, can be best served the country and the ANC in their capacity as a Deputy Secretary General.
Well, let's continue the conversation now, and we are joined by Vuyo Mkhize. He is Dr. Zweli Mkhize's communication advisor, and he speaks to us from Durban this morning. Mr. Mkhize, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with whether or not Dr. Zweli Mkhize has accepted nomination from branches of the ANC.
Good morning, Xoli, and good morning to your viewers. Xoli, it should be borne in mind that at this stage, there has not been any nomination that has been presented to Dr. Zweli Mkhize for his response whether or not he accepts it as per the ANC procedures and policies. So at this point, what has happened is just an indication of support amongst branches, which Dr. Zweli Mkhize notes and welcomes, but nothing as yet calls on him to respond in any way beyond that.
Are you saying that the ANC in KZN is speaking ahead of itself? I mean, this has gone quite high up in the ranks of the party in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, because this, according to Begimtolo, is the popular view. That's the terminology he used at the start of that press conference, that it's a popular view of branches. Does Dr. Mkhize at least intend to accept nomination?
At the right time, when he is called upon to indicate whether or not he accepts a nomination, he will accept such a nomination. He stands ready to serve the movement that he has served for the better part of the past 40 years in whatever capacity the members of the movement decides they want him to serve. So he will definitely accept whatever nomination that will be presented to him by the ANC Electoral Committee at the right time.
All right. So at the right time, then, he will accept and take up the challenge to lead. That, I'm sure, the members can accept for the time being. Does that suggest, though, that before then, Dr. Mkhize intends to clear his name in as far as the digital vibes matter is concerned?
Look, Xoli, technically speaking, Dr. Zweli's name has never been tainted, but there has been a narrative, as inaccurate as it is, that sought to implicate him in wrongdoing in the context of the digital vibes contracts. Allow me just to point out that mainly that arises out of 3 points, 3 findings that are made in the SIU report that was presented to President Cyril Ramaphosa on 30 April 2021. The first of those findings, the SIU said that it suspects, not that it has found, but that it suspects that Dr. Mkhize may have interfered in the procurement processes, which led to the awarding of the Digital Vibes contract. Dr. Mkhize vehemently denied that and proceeded to take the SIU report to court. And as part of that process, he challenged the SIU to present him with the evidence, whatever documentary evidence it relied upon to make that finding as inconclusive as it is. That was in November last year. To date, the SIU has not presented that evidence, has not said to Dr. Mkhize, it is on the basis of A, B, C, and D that we came to that conclusion. But that matter is proceeding in court, and I think the legal process will ultimately resolve that issue in his favor. We've got no doubt about that. The second issue that the SIU report raised was that it said that Dr. Mkhize had ignored a cabinet resolution that the contract that eventually went to Digital Vibes should actually go to the GCIS. Again, Dr. Mkhize said, no, the SIU, you are patently wrong. There is no such. However, as part of the court challenge, he had then to say to you, present me with that cabinet, a copy of that cabinet resolution. Now, just this past Friday, the SIU wrote to him to say that, in actual fact, that resolution does not exist. So the SIU made a damning finding against Dr. Mkhize, said that he had violated the Constitution by ignoring the cabinet resolution, only to turn around this past Friday to say, well, actually, you've been right all along, no such resolution exists. And thirdly, which is the last point, the SIU said that Dr. Mkhize is guilty vicariously through his son, because his son received certain monies and got involved in certain business transactions with people who had received money from Digital Vibes or who had done work with Digital Vibes. The Parliamentary Ethics Committee investigated the matter because the DA submitted a complaint along the same lines to the Ethics Board in Parliament. Parliament investigated that charge and again reached the finding that Dr. Mkhize is not his son. Dr. Mkhize there's nothing linking him to the activities of his adult son. That was applied in hearing former Premier Helen Zille when she was accused of being in breach of the ethics code by virtue of some business that her son had done with the Western Cape government. The same logic that was applied when a complaint was submitted to say that President Cyril Ramaphosa has to be found liable for business engagement of his son, Andile Ramaphosa, with Bosasa. In all of those instances, it was found that the politician, the member of the executive, cannot be held responsible for the conduct of their child who is not a dependent of theirs. So the same thing, all the halabaloo about did Daniel receive this? Yes, he is challenging those matters independently in court and explaining how he came to receive all those monies. But for the purposes of this exercise that Dr. Mkhize has been engaged with, the issue rests on the reading of the Parliamentary Ethics Committee findings, which is to say, Dr. Mkhize cannot be said to have violated his oath of office or the members' ethics code, because nothing that flowed from those funds came to him. Those were all business dealings of his sons and not linked to him in any way.
All right, fair enough. And I think the focus, therefore, will be on Dr. Mkhize, at least for the duration of this interview. So let's go back to the court process. What relief is Dr. Mkhize seeking in court, and what is the timeline? Where are we right now?
Only Dr. Mkhize is only seeking that the SIU findings, only insofar as they relate to him, be reviewed and set aside. Because to the extent that the SIU found that the digital vice contract was irregular and improper, Dr. Mkhize has got no challenge to that. And there's a reason why he cannot challenge that. Because we must remember, the SIU did not stumble on this matter to start investigating it. The SIU piggybacked on a process that was initiated by Dr. Mkhize himself. When this contract was flagged by the AG in 2020 already, amongst of all the contracts that were flagged by the AG, when Dr. Mkhize saw or read a finding about this particular contract, he asked his DG to investigate it. The DG investigated, and Dr. Mkhize went further and said, get an independent forensic team to investigate this contract. And that is when the SIU came, that's how the SIU came to the matter. So Dr. Mkhize had himself been alerted and responded to the red flags that had been raised about this contract. So as a result, when the SIU came on and came to the same conclusion as the forensic investigating team that he had appointed, he accepted their findings. His only issue is that the leap of logic that they took
Mr. Mkhize,
to then say he is implicated. Sorry about
Mr. Mkhize, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to rush you because of time. Is Dr. Mkhize aware as to whether or not the SIU has handed over that investigative report to the NPA for criminal prosecution, or at least consider criminal prosecution? Is he aware of any moves like that?
What he is aware of is what he read in the Sunday Times of 2 weeks ago, which quoted the Hawks spokesperson to be saying that there is currently no investigation into Dr. Mkhize whatsoever. That is what he knows.
All right.
So the question of the NPA does not even come into question, because the Hawks themselves are saying we have no active investigation into Dr. Mkhize.
All right. Final question, and very briefly, I'm sure you'll be able to give me this one. So in that review and set-aside application that he is seeking in court against the SIU findings, what timeline are we looking at there? Because that could impede on his chances of contesting the ANC presidency.
Unfortunately, Xoli, right now, this matter should have long been, if the SIU had delivered the documents it was obliged to deliver as far back as November 2021, this matter would long have been finalized now. But because they still have not done so even now, you're not looking to have this matter in court anytime, perhaps until the second half of 2023.
Sure. All right. And I wonder what the implications of that are going to be. But as Mr. Mkhize has just pointed out, that Dr. Zweli Mkhize is not criminally charged in any way. The only averments against him are those of the SIU, and for a matter to become a criminal case, further investigations ought to be carried out. And this is from the words of the SIU itself. So that's where we're going to leave that matter. Vuyo Mkhize speaking on behalf of Dr. Zweli Mkhize. Thank you very much.